I believe we can start. Welcome and very good morning to all of you this morning. Thank you for making time to join in into this meeting, this webinar. As highlighted, this is a second consecutive webinar for the small grants open call information session. And this is just basically to provide more information and provide more guidance to all persons and all organizations that are looking to make applications or participate into this small grants action. So the objectives again of this meeting this morning is just one, to provide a platform to introduce and highlight the application process via our grant management system, which is ASPICO. Secondly is to introduce the guidelines to the applicants in the 8 counties of Busia, Embu, Kakamega, Kilifi, Kirinyaga, Kwale, Siaya, and Taita Taveta. And then thirdly, as an objective, is to address any other challenge or question or query from the webinar participants. Over to you, Sarah.
Yes, thank you, Steve. And very good morning again to all of you. I'm happy to see that we have a large number of participants this morning. As already mentioned, this is our second information session regarding the call that is open now until 13th of January. I will run you through the Hakini Yesu project and the small grants scheme in a moment, but before that I would like to invite my colleague Betty to give some opening remarks for the morning.
Once again, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Steve. I want to start by welcoming everybody today to be able to join us in this important virtual session. And I want to also state again on behalf of KIOS, IFL, and the CSO network, I want to express my gratitude to each one of you for joining us today, taking into consideration the fact that we're going along at the end of the year. It's really nice to see the effort that has been made to be able to join us. It is good to see so many of these representations of different organizations showing an interest and wanting to be able to continue the support we have in our own respective programs, issues around human rights or gender equality, issues around good governance, but most importantly, to be able to see people who are working at the grassroots level. I won't repeat everything that has been said by my colleague Sarah, but we are looking forward to have a very interactive session with you. We're excited that we're going to be sharing with you the guidelines for these grants to see how they can go a long way in supporting the work that you're doing. And as we are walking you through this grant guidelines, my colleagues will be able to explain the process that is going to be required. And of course, we will have the opportunity to have the Q&A. And I hope that by the end of this session, you'll have a clear understanding of the focus of the grants that we're going to be providing, and hopefully to be able to support the work that they do, that you're doing. So for me, it's really just to ask you to engage actively, ask as many questions as you have during the plenary session, and then of course, looking forward to reading the document that you're going to be providing. So thank you once again for joining us, and I look forward to having such an enriching session with you today this morning.
Yes, thank you very much. And as said, I will run you through the Hakini Yesu project overall, and then also the small grants scheme that we are currently that has been is open currently. So the Hakini Yesu project is a 4-year project. We are halfway through at the moment. It is funded by the EU, and the purpose of the project is strengthening the capacity of county-based and grassroots civil society groups for enhanced governance, accountability, and protection of human rights of the people of Kenya. So we have 3 consortium members, as already been mentioned by my colleague Betty from CSO Network. So we have KIOS Foundation from Finland, which is the lead foundation of the consortium. Then we have CSO Network from Kisumu and Inform Action from Nairobi. So the Hakinieto project concentrates on three main themes, which are democracy and rule of law, gender equality and non-discrimination, and business and human rights. We have 15 priority counties as our operational areas, and then 5 additional countries in 4 clusters. So the areas are Western Kenya, arid and semi-arid cluster, Central Kenya, and Coastal Kenya. So the primary direct beneficiaries of the project are community-based and grassroots organizations, also community action teams, citizen activists and journalists, and social justice centers. So today we are talking about the civic action and community empowerment grants, which are grants that are between 500 to 4,000 euros. So this is the second open call. We have already had one open call previously, and the grantees have been decided for that call. This call will be now targeting 8 counties. So it's a very large call. It will be open until 13th of January. Overall, the granting scheme, the small grant scheme, is targeting approximately 42 small action grants in 15 priority counties, as already mentioned. And there are management and reporting guidelines developed for the grantees. So the overall objectives of this grant is to strengthen the capacities of selected CBOs and grassroots organizations working on defending human rights of people in vulnerable positions and marginalized groups, and increasing the accountability of duty bearers. And secondly, to encourage CBOs and grassroots organizations to participate meaningfully in holding local and national authorities accountable to improving the delivery of services related to ESG rights and to ensuring the rule of law and human rights. Just to repeat what I already actually mentioned in earlier slide, this second open call is open now since last week, and the size of available grants are 500 to 4,000 euros. The duration of the implementation period of the projects proposed can be between 3 to 12 months. And the application deadline is Monday, January 13th, just before midnight in Kenyan time. And the 8 target counties are Busia, Embu, Kakamega, Kilifi, Kirinyaga, Kwale, Siaya, and Taita Taveta. So this is very important information, I'm sure, for you who can apply. So eligible entities are community-based organizations, defined as not-for-profit, non-religious, non-governmental, and non-political organizations, as currently registered by or planning to register with the Department of Social Services. Or then other civil society organizations working in the grassroots in the form of societies, associations, trusts, and companies limited by guarantee, registered under the Societies Act, Trust Deed Act, and Companies Act. Or then other grassroots civil society groups that are not registered or are in the process of registering and working at grassroots level or in informal settlements. So these can also be considered. As long as these organizations or society groups are operating in these 8 target counties and with an average annual income below 1 million Kenyan shillings. And we highly encourage organizations and groups led by women, youth, and marginalized groups to apply. So at least 50% of the support will be awarded to such groups. Proposals will not be accepted from the following types of applicants: individuals, for-profit entities, religious communities and churches, political parties, government, whether it's national or local, international non-governmental organizations, and organizations with an average annual income of more than 1 million Kenyan shillings. So we will look into the average of the past 2 years. And then also organizations with no presence or office in one of the target counties. And so the eligible grant activities, and these are just examples, this is not an exhaustive list, but the focus is on those 3 thematic areas of the Haki Yetu project. And just to remind you, the 3 thematic focus areas are democracy and rule of law, gender equality and non-discrimination, and business and human rights. So activities can be including, for example, monitoring, documenting and reporting human rights situation, and especially human rights situation of vulnerable groups. They could be awareness raising and advocacy on fundamental human rights, providing legal assistance and aid to individuals in vulnerable positions. It can be also evidence-based advocacy, strategic litigation, or public interest litigation. Activities can include information and data gathering, capacity building of duty bearers on fundamental human rights, capacity building to local human rights defenders to act as agents of change, institutional development of the supported civil society organizations, or dialogue with the relevant duty bearers for enhanced promotion and protection of fundamental and human rights. So how to apply in practice? There is an application form available online portal. We will go into details with this after my presentation. You can upload the grant budget and use it as a basis, as a template for your proposed budget. We need, as mentioned earlier, it is not required to be formally registered for this call. However, we would need 2 written reference letters to show that you have been working in these issues previously. So the templates for the budget and reference letters are available on the kiosk website. And just to remind that the deadline is Monday, January 13, 2025. So just to run you through the evaluation and granting process after we have closed the call and we have received all the proposals. All the proposals will be evaluated by the small grants team, and the small grants team is compiled of the consortium members. Shortlisted applicants will be contacted for the due diligence process, and this will include a visit to the applicant organization. During the due diligence process, there may be a revision of the applicant's proposal and budget through co-creation between the applicant and the small grants team. The small grants team makes a proposal of the final shortlisted applicants for the small grants selection committee. And the small grants selection committee makes the final decision on the proposal to be awarded with a grant. Asante sana, thank you very much for your attention. We look forward to your comments and your questions, and we do our best to answer all of them. However, before that, my colleague will go through the technical proposal site itself, so that if you have also any questions regarding this, you will be able to add them once we have the questions and answers session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for that wonderful presentation. I'll now then proceed to provide the microphone to Anika, who will run us through the ASPICO granting system, and then the guidelines and the whole process that comes with that. And then after that, we'll have a plenary session for question and answer.
Thank you, Pico. So good morning once more. I'll just show you where to find all the information regarding this open call. So if you go to the CURES website, you have here at the front, in the news part, an access to the open call information in the news piece. And through here, you can find the basic information of the call, of the Hakinieto project, and the application process. So through this link, you will find more information and eventually the guidelines for the open call. So all the information Sarah just ran you through is here in writing. The background of the Hakinieto project, the size of the grants, the type of the grants to apply for, eligible organizations who are non-eligible, what kind of activities can be considered, what is the geographical focus, the evaluation and selection process, as well as other details and information on the application. And here you can also find a link to the FAQ page. So the frequently asked questions guide you with any possible questions that may arise during the application process. So here you can find some responses to the questions that we have been thinking of and that may come up during while you're preparing your application, or while you are thinking of your plan. If these questions do not and these answers do not respond to the questions you may have, you can find at the bottom a link, an email. So you may approach us through by email, writing to smallgrants@informaction.fi to get responses to any possible other doubts you may have regarding this process of application. So you have the guidelines, you have the frequently asked questions, and now I will show you how to go through the ASPICO system. So when you go to the guidelines, you have here the link to application process here. Application must be filled and submitted through the online application portal, just like Sarah explained. So when you click this link, it will take you to the website of the application portal. Before you can start your application, you will need to register. So here you can see it says register as grant applicant. So we'll need to click here and register. So this is the person from your organization that will have access. And I will show you later who else can edit the application, but first this can be the team leader, the executive director, or the board member, or whoever will be in charge of preparing the application. So here I will just show you how to do this. You will write your first name, your last name, your email address. I have done this a few times to practice, so you can see my email coming up. As you can see, your name and email are mandatory. So your email will be your username. You can see here on the left information. Your email address is your username, but you can choose your password. The phone number at this point is not mandatory, but you need to create a password. So here it says the password must be at least of 8 characters long and contain at least one number. So here we will come up with a password. Here you can see if I just put letters and I don't put any number, this will tell me it's not good enough. So I need to add some numbers to the password, and then you can see it is valid. And you need to write it here again. This is very important information. So for you to be able to apply naturally, you need to register, and this means that we will have to gather your personal data to be able to go through the application process. So you need to tick this box that you accept that the personal data that you have given will be saved to our register only for this application process. So we will not keep it for any other purposes. Here is the link, very important. You can click this one and it will take you to our data protection policy. So the data privacy policy of the Hacking project. So here you can see who will have access to your data, what it means, and what we will do with it. So going back to Asperger, here, after you have created your password, then you will still need to show that you're not a robot. So 7 + 5 is 12, and then you register. This means my registration is received. You will get an email to the email address you put in the registration. You will get a confirmation email, which you need to click. So after that, you can log in. So I will just use just to ease this process, I will use my account that I created yesterday and log in. Okay, yeah, the application. Okay, now I can see this is my yesterday's application. Here, so when you go in, you're in the grant application system. Here you have the 2 calls: rights, governance and accountability grants, and civic action and community empowerment. Make sure to click on the right one. It's the only available one actually, because it's green and it's open. Maybe actually I will go, let me see if I can, yes, great. Okay, so this is when you log in. You need to click here, make a new application. Let me just see if there's something on the chat. Well, Biko can interrupt if there's something, if I'm going too fast or something, so just interrupt me. So you start here, make a new application. After you have registered, the email of the registration, yesterday at least, it came in like 2 minutes, so it's pretty immediate. If you don't find the email in your inbox, check your spam. It may be there, but it should not take hours. So if you haven't received the registration email, there is also an email address to contact if you have any problems. But it's pretty easy, as you can see, and simple. But to start making the application, we click here, make a new application. And this will take you to the Civic Action and Community Empowerment Grant, Small Grant Scheme that is now open, as you can see, until the 13th of January. So we click Start. And then we can find the Small Grants application form. So first of all, you start with the name of the applicant organization. Let's put here Yes Foundation. Then you need to select the type of organization. So as Sarah said, the eligible are here. In all the questions, you have this question mark that will guide you. It will give you some important additional information if you're not really sure how to answer the question. So let's say we are a community-based organization. You can also, so you have to choose one. If you put other, then you need to explain. But let's go with the CBO. Then you need to provide and confirm your annual income for the past 2 years. So as these small grants are targeted to really small grassroots actors, we have put this limit to the eligibility criteria. So annual income for 2024, as Sarah said, it should be less than 1 million Kenyan shillings. So I will click here. Annual income for 2023, we got more budget, so I will put this one. So this is really important for eligibility. If it was in 2023 0 and 2024 more than 1 million, it is okay because we're looking at the average of the 2 years. But just be mindful to click here your actual annual income, because for the shortlisted applicants, we will of course need to check this. Through the due diligence process, this will be checked. Then applicant, if an organization. So this is the applicant organization's information. If you have an office, a postal address, a physical address, email, phone number, and the website. So here, for example, you can copy the Facebook account link, the X, Twitter, or TikTok, or YouTube, or whatever social media I have, the website. As you can see, these are not mandatory fields. But of course, the more information you give us, the easier for us it is to go through your application. But if you don't have any website or social media pages, it doesn't mean that you have less chances of being shortlisted. Here are the information I used to register. So this is this comes up automatically. So when I registered and I created my account, I put my first name and my last name. This is for the account I created yesterday. So this means that this is the person who is a signatory person. Yeah. So, okay, so when you register, this is important information. When you register, it has to be a person that is signatory of the applicant organization. Yes. So it cannot be anyone in the organization. Here you have to put the designation. So maybe I should be actually the executive director, and a phone number. So here you can put the country code and then the phone number. And postal address. So here the postal address is actually mandatory for the person. This can be the office address, I believe. Yes, we will not use it at this information from this point. Okay, so here starts the actual concrete information on the organization. So we ask for you to describe the organization and group. So what is your governance and leadership? What is the mission, vision, and the core activities? If you're registered, include the registration status. This space is limited to 2,500 characters. So as you can see, you have a limitation, but it gives you sufficient space to describe how is the organization governed, what is the leadership. So here you can specify all the basic details of your group and organization. The more information you give, the better, of course, it is, because the more it gives us a better understanding of who you are and what you do. So here you can write just describing your work. And core activities, it means what if you say you are, well, the QS Foundation registered about 26 years ago, then I would write here the mission and what do we normally do. So we are a grant-making foundation to support human rights work. So I would describe this here. Then we ask about whether you have a bank account or you use M-Pesa. So here, please clarify the organization has a bank account or the organization has an M-Pesa account. The QS Foundation uses the bank account, so I will click this one. Then, how would you describe your organization's leadership? So this is very important. You should let us know whether your organization is primarily led by women, led by youth, led by marginalized group, led by men over 35 years, or led by others. So we consider youth anything between 18 and 35 years old, whether female or male led, or both, a mixture. This should be youth. Led by marginalized group, in case you consider the organization or group is led by marginalized or people in vulnerable positions, you can click this one. Or led by other, here you can specify. If you're not sure which one of these are correct, or your answer is not applicable to the options, just click by here, led by other, and you can describe. And I will put here the QS Foundation. Our ED is over 35 years old, so we'll click this one. And the leadership, it refers to for example, the executive director or the director of the group, the lead, but also to the board. Or board or like whatever you have, board of trustees or board of directors, or if you don't have one, then just consider the leader of the group. Then this is very important, county of operation. So as we said, only organizations operating in these 8 counties are eligible to apply. So here you can click more than one. So say the QS Foundation is operating, let's say, in Busia. So we're in Busia, in Nambale, and Samia and Tesosa County. So you can click more than one. Then let's say we also work in Siaya. Yeah. So this is click all the applicable counties and sub-counties. So it means where you operate. It doesn't mean that you have an office there. It means you currently operate there. Then the thematic areas of focus. This is super important. You should click one, but it's not necessary to click more than one. So it doesn't mean you have to tick all the boxes. Here you have more information. It means what is the kind of proposal and the grant activities you're planning to do and you're applying funding for. So if you click here, you will get some more information. What does it mean? Democracy and the rule of law. promoting good governance, the rule of law and state accountability. It can be state at national level or county government accountability, fight against corruption, access to justice, promoting transparency, people's participation in local decision making. This can be national or county or sub-county level. So this gives you a hint of what we mean by this. Also in the guidelines, you have more details on what is meant by these thematic areas of focus. So if you're not sure, please check the guidelines. If I click on gender equality and non-discrimination, I get these hints: protecting women's and promoting women's rights, non-discrimination, advocating for policy reforms, gender-based violence, gender equality, community actions for accountability, greater for inclusion of, say, for example, marginalized groups or key population, enhancing sexual health and reproductive rights, or in general promoting the participation of women, youth, and marginalized groups in decision making. So I mean, these overlap, of course. So naturally, if you're talking about democracy, like accountability and democracy, but you're also working with marginalized groups, more than one may be applicable, and you can click more than one if necessary. So business and human rights, now this can be tricky from what we've learned. So this doesn't mean business and human rights, it means accountability of responsible business. So here you can see promoting responsible business conduct, protection of human rights, addressing human rights abuses, violations, or concerns that occur because of business activities. It can be about workers' rights, environmental justice, protecting the right to a clean and healthy and sustainable environment, strategic advocacy, for example, on climate justice, land rights related to businesses. So bear in mind that this business and human rights, it does not mean engaging in income generating activities, for example. So we do not consider that human rights work in this call. So business and human rights, it means all of this. And if you're unsure, check the guidelines for more information. So it is important to click one to be eligible, but it's not necessary to click more than one. Just the applicable ones to your organization and your core activities. Here you should come up with a title of the project. So let's say human rights or promoting women's rights in Kakamega, for example. Or it can be also something in Swahili or the local language, or it can be, something more creative. It can be anything, just the title you have put for the project. This is important, the duration of your activity, so how long do you plan to implement the grant? Anything between 3 and 12 months, it's applicable. 12 months is the maximum duration, so I will say 5. Of course, this is the original plan. Sometimes, it can change. You may be able to implement faster, or you may come up with some challenges and it may take a little bit time, but just adhere the number of months you are planning to take for the implementation. Then, financial support requested. So as Sarah said, this doesn't have the brackets. So in the guidelines, you can find the brackets. So this is very important to keep in mind. So the grant is only for applications between 500 and 4,000 euros. So this is the limit. So we will not be able to grant anyone more than 4,000 or less than 500. But the budget has to be in Kenyan shillings. So you should put here how much you're requesting the grant in Kenyan shillings, let's say 40,000, and then how much it is in euro. So you should actually convert it to euro just for yourself as well, to check that you're not actually going above the limit. So actually 40,000 Kenyan shillings is too little because it's below. So let's put 100,000 Kenyan shillings for this one. So that would be about 740 euros. And as the exchange rate fluctuates pretty much, it's mandatory to put here the date. When did you do the conversion in euros? The important thing is, sorry, today is 19. The important thing here is the shillings. So you have to budget the current activities in Kenyan shillings. So don't worry too much about this one. This may change because we will do the granting in Kenyan shillings. So don't worry too much about this. Just check that this is between the limit of the bracket of the call. Also bear in mind that you should be careful that if you're a small group with not much experience in grants or with not much income and experience in financial management, you should not probably you should not try to apply for 4,000, because we will look in when we do the evaluation process, we will look the complete picture. So what is your experience in managing funds? For already 4,000 euros, you need to have some prior experience. Also, what are the activities you're doing? Is it reasonable? Is it justifiable? So make sure that you do the budgeting well, so that the amount of money you're applying for makes sense for the activities you're planning to carry out. That's all the kind of admin and basic information of the application. Then we go to the substance. So what are the human rights issues your organization aims to address with this funding? Who are the rights holders and duty bearers? So here you have, again, 2,500 characters to describe. What is the challenge? Let's say if I'm working in Busia, so what is the challenge that we want to address? What is the human rights challenge we have now that we want to address with this funding? Who are the rights holders? So who are the persons that we are working for? And how, if we are engaging with duty bearers, that we encourage you to do, who are the duty bearers? Is it the county government? Is it the health office, or is it the gender office, or is it the government representatives working in the environmental issues or land rights, or who are the duty bearers? So please describe here that. Then you should briefly give the background of the operational context. So let's say in your county, in your sub-county, what is the operational context? So this is also 2,500 characters. You should write what has been happening, or what has just happened. So what gives you the context and kind of the justification of what you want to do and why you're doing what you are planning to do. Here, as you see, these are all mandatory, required. So this is important that you describe as well as you can all these responses to the questions. Here we want to know what are the actions you plan to do. So you should list the activities that you're planning to do and their objectives. So, for example, we will organize a community session on the human rights of women with regards to sexual and reproductive rights. So, for example, you will organize a convening for how many people, for what purpose, for how long, and to do what. So we will organize to, for example, raise awareness or to train or capacity build this group of people on their rights. So this is important that you make a concise and a clear list of the activities. And also make sure that the list of activities matches your budget. So this is very important. It can be challenging. So you need to be very clear. What are the concrete activities you plan to do? And all those activities need to be also in the budget. So take this into consideration and make sure when you do them, they match and they speak the same language. Then here we want you to think about the key outcomes and results. What are you trying to achieve? This is important that you think like, what are you doing and why? So the objective and the results you plan to get that you describe here, so that we get a better idea of why you're doing what you're planning to do. Here, as you can see, there are less characters available, so you need to be a bit more concise, but I'm sure it's enough space for you to describe the results. You can also extend the space, as you see. So if you're writing a lot, all the boxes can be extended. Then we want to see some risk analysis. So here we want you to describe any possible risks you foresee during implementation and what are the possible mitigation measures. So for example, we could have the risk of, let's say, if we're planning to do the convening for women on their sexual and reproductive rights, we may foresee a risk that they cannot participate, or for example, I don't know, the convening hour is not possible, or something happens in the county that they cannot part. This could be also like environmental risks, like floods or something else that comes up. You can think of the risks as like contextual or programmatic or operational. So also here try to be concise, but think of all the risks that could affect your implementation, and also think of some mitigation measures. So what are you going to do to prevent that risk from happening, or what are you actually going to do to, if the risk realizes that the problem it causes it's the least possible. So how are you handling it or preventing it from happening? Then the final big question is, we want you to describe the organization's administrative capacity to handle grant funding. So here you can describe briefly your financial management skills and systems. If you have a person who's you have in the team, let's say a financial officer, or someone who is a volunteer but in their professional life they work in finance, or they are good with numbers, and if you have any policies, if you have an accounting system even, maybe the small groups don't have, but just describe here the financial management skills you have in the team and in the organization. You could also have like a board member who's a specialist in finance, financial management. So just describe here anything that's relevant. Harriet is drawing in our screen, please do not. Here you can also share the sources of income for the past, this 2024 or 2024, like if you have received prior grants from donors, so you can add this information here. Just add the, like, for example, 2024, 200 euros, it can be in shillings also, from any any donor. And then also, if you are a membership organization, also mention this. So if you have members that pay a contribution, also mention that here. And also, so this is a lot of information, also we want you to explain the estimated income for 2025. So if you have already concrete plans, or let's say you know that you have 20 members and they all pay 1,000 shillings for the participation, so you know that income for 2025. So please list that. It can be an estimation, of course. You will not know what will what will realize in practice, but just an estimation. Or if you have applied for other funding, or if you have other sources of income, just an estimation, so that we have an idea of your capacity. I will actually I will have to do this so I can move on with the application. So all the mandatory parts have to have some text. Save and continue. Just know that you can save the application during the process. It's good to save it so that you don't lose the information. So if there's a problem with the internet connection, it can maybe a challenge. So you can save the application and come back. So here you can see the application process. So basic information, attachments, summary, and then you send it. So here I can see the name of my project, how much funding I'm requesting, and what is the grant scheme. The mandatory attachments are 2 written references and the budget. So as Tara said, we have the kiosk form for the reference letter, and then we have a template for the budget. It's not mandatory to use our template, but we have provided us for you to kind of to give you an idea of what we're looking for and to have an example. The written reference should be in the kiosk form because the reference should be for this grant application. So we're not looking for any general reference letters, but your referees should be familiar with this project you're applying funding for. These are also found in the guidelines. So I will just take you back to the goal guidelines here. So when you go down to the application process here below, you can see, besides filling the online application, the following annexes are obligatory and should be submitted. So here you have the budget template and the reference template. You can access them from the guidelines, so you don't have to wait until you're in the Aspicor to find the templates, but they are just here as well so that you can find them. I will show you what they look like here. This is the reference letter template. So you need to find someone that will give you reference. This is the name of your project, the name of your organization, and then the information of the referee. And it needs to be signed, and you need to put the date and place. So this is the reference letter we want you to use. And then just quickly, I will show you also the budget template. It's in Excel. Just a second as it is opening. So here you can see the budget template. You have a cover sheet explaining what we're looking for. It gives you some additional information, and then the template here. So very basic information: your name, title of the project, duration, total activity in Kenyan shillings. So here you put the item, unit type, costs, and justification. And here's also an example sheet where you can see an example of an invented project if you need help. This is the template. It's not mandatory to use this template, but this is provided to help you go through the application process. So these are mandatory, as you can see here. You need to upload 2 written references. So we will upload as any document. File is too large, okay. I will just put any, it has to be actually in PDF. Yes, so here, once you have uploaded, it will show you here, attachments, written reference. So here you can see that is actually uploaded. And if you accidentally uploaded the wrong document, you can delete it from here. So these need to be two written references, ref2. Here you can see the file name. It can be an image or a PDF. So you need to convert it. Yes, so now I have uploaded 2 written references. Then, as you can see, this is still red, the budget, because I have not uploaded a budget. So I will put here, budget. And this can be, we prefer it to be in Excel. So if possible, please upload it in Excel so that we can also check the columns and budget lines. So here you can delete any of these, upload a new one. You can click here and see. Thank you, Harriet, for sending me hearts. I appreciate that. Here you can see the attachments you have uploaded. This is important. As you can see here, there are other options. So you can also attach a registration certificate. So if you're a CBO that has registered, you can upload the certificate. This is not obligatory. As you can see, only the written references are mandatory and only the budget is mandatory. So these 2 you need to upload. But these are optional. So if you have additional documents, if you have tax registration certificate, if you have done audits, if your organization has done an annual report, like for example 2024, this is what we achieved, you can upload them. If you have statues, this is useful for us to get a more, like a bigger picture of what you do, but it's not compulsory. And only these 2 mandatory attachments will be are the most important, and of course the application itself for the evaluation process. After you have uploaded all this, you click here, save and continue. And then this will give you the brief overall of what you have uploaded. Again, you can revise the application data, you can revise the attachments, and you need to officially and formally send the application. Bear in mind that once you have sent the application, you cannot edit it again. So if I now wanted to take a few more days to think about it, or I need to maybe edit the budget, or I need to get another reference that let's say I've only uploaded 1 because I'm still missing, you can start during the application and you just click the save and it will save your data. So if I now close the window and leave, my application has not been sent, but I can come back and edit all the information I have already put here. So I will not lose the data. Just remember, if you have a weak internet connection, this may affect. So it's important that you have a stable as possible internet connection so that then the application is smooth and you will not lose data. For you to send the application, you need to agree with the rules and procedures. You need to confirm that you have read the guidelines. You need to confirm that all the information you have submitted is correct. And you need to give consent that the consortium the foundation may publish the name and basic information of the project through the communication channels. And you also need to click this so that you understand that we are collecting personal data, because we cannot process your application without this information. So you need to go through the data privacy policy, which I showed you earlier. It's open here. So please read it carefully so that you know what data we're collecting and what are your rights regarding the data privacy. And that you understand your rights and responsibilities of the data collector. So that would be yes. So don't forget to send the application. Uploading the information is not enough. Your application has not been received until you send the application. Don't forget that after you push send application, you cannot modify the application anymore. So it's the final version. And as said in the guidelines, please only send one application. If you send more than one, it may lead to for the evaluation team not considering any of them. You can always, so please don't send it until it's finished and you have finalized and you're happy with it. Please also don't leave it to the last minute. So although the deadline is January 13, midnight Kenyan time, please try to do it before that. But don't forget to push send. After you push send, you will get a confirmation that we have received your application. So when you get the email that your application has been sent, you know that everything is done and we have reached your application. Again, remember, the email could go into your spam. If you don't find it in your inbox, please check your spam. So we will send the application and it will ask you, are you sure you want to send? Yes, we're sure. And then the system will tell you that it's been sent. Your application has been successfully received. Okay, I think I'm done here. I will let my colleagues proceed, and there probably are some questions, but I'm sure we can help you. So I will give back to you, Biko.
Thank you very much, Annika, for that very wonderful presentation, very elaborate, very comprehensive, both on the guidelines, the grant management system or grant application system, and just overall information on what needs for us to know as applicants. So for this particular moment, I'd want to open it up to further questions. Having listened into the presentations, I know some of us have questions. Some of us have already started or have typed some of your questions on the chat box, which is very well noted. And I think my colleague Marit has tried to the best of our ability to answer majority or almost all of them. I'll start by that, giving a chance to Quinta Obiero. Please unmute your mic and proceed to ask your question.
Thank you very much. My name is Quinta Obiero from Siaya County. I have a few questions that I may require some more clarity on. Number one is the reference letter. So I would like to know, is it okay if I ask one of the consortium partners for this Hacking Yetu project, for example, can I ask Inform Action to do a reference letter for me for this particular grant? And number two, what do you mean by a written document in regards to this reference letter? I hope you get that. And number two, do you already know the expected date of awarding the grant, so that as we apply, we also have that in mind, have some expectations in mind. And number 3 is this grant flexible? And does it include core support, for example? And there's some part that was mentioned on experience. So the presenter mentioned that if you're not experienced in terms of financial management, you should not dare apply for the 4,000 euros. My question is, 1, can we use this money to hire an expert who has experience in finances, for example, so that we can still apply for this 4,000 euros? Number 2 is can we, now that this grant is for young or grassroots organizations, can we just apply even if we've never managed 4,000 euros? Is it still okay to apply? However, in our there's that part in the application process where you describe your financial management skills, for example. If we have in place maybe people who or a clear guide on how we are going to manage these resources, is it still possible to apply for the maximum amount? Yes. So I think that is all the questions that I had. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Quinta Obiero, for those questions. So for the first 3 questions, 2 questions, I will provide, I will ask one of my colleagues to provide direction on that. So the first one was in terms of the reference letter. The second one, the expected date of award. And then the third question spoke about flexibility of the grant. Does it have core support for the granting? This is more for heavy. I believe core support is generally for institutional strengthening, internal institutional strengthening. And then we'll come back to the other 2 questions. So I don't know, either Marit or Anika can take this, and then I'll give the second cohort of questions to Betty to take care of them. So I'll highlight the second cohort of questions. So for the first one, reference letter, expected date of award, and is the grant flexible in terms of core support? Either Anika or Marit, you could unmute and provide guidance on that.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Maybe I can start, and then my colleagues can also feel free to fill in. I would say for the reference letter, it's advisable maybe to reach out to people who are not involved in the consortium work. That would be my take on the reference letter. When it comes to the dates when we are releasing the grants, there are no exact set dates yet, as the application period closes on the 13th of January. We will try our best to work on the first bunch, 4 counties, right after the closing of the application period. It will take us at least from some weeks to assess the applications, depending on how many applications we have received. So all the 8 counties should be assessed during the first months of next year, but for the exact dates, I'm not able to provide on that yet. And then on the grant content and budget itself, the grant itself, it's small, but it's still flexible. And in the guidelines, we have included that there is a possibility to include some cost of institutional strengthening, whether it's for staff resources, financial management, skills, strategy building, or anything related to the capacity building, strengthening your organization's work, that may be included in the grant, and we will assess that part together with the other activities that you have included in the proposal. So yes, the grant is rather flexible, and we will assess the activities and the institutional part that you may have there as a whole. I hope this answers. My colleagues will be able to jump in as well. Thank you.
Perhaps just to clarify regarding the reference letters, since there seems to be several questions regarding these, I think it's also you don't have to have the reference letters from entities that you have worked with. They can also be partners who can verify the fact that you are working on the issues that you are proposing to have funding for. So there is a possibility to reach out to other organizations also working in your area, for example, who have witnessed your work. So just to clarify that they don't need to be previous funders or previous partners. They can also be any entity that knows your work. Then also to clarify about the maximum amount that you can apply, the final amount will be determined in the co-creation process. So the amount that you apply in the first stage will it is not necessarily the amount that will be received finally. So with the shortlisted candidates, the shortlisted applicants, we will then do a co-creation process where the final budget will be determined. I hope that clarified a little bit of the questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sarah and Marit. I believe you are very crystal clear. So for reference letter, I believe you have your answer, Quinta, that necessarily from the consortia, it could be an uphill task for us to give a reference to you. However, there are other people who know the kind of work that you're doing. Could be if you're CBO, the chiefs, local area persons, opinion leaders within your area. For those working in health, there is the county level CASCO. Just anybody within your area who knows what kind of work that you're doing are highly welcome to provide your reference later. And then for the expected date of award, this will be communicated in due course. We know we expect a flood of applications, and again, as the processes have been highlighted, the evaluation situation, and then eventually to the capacity assessment or due diligence, and then finally granting. So it takes a process, and this will be communicated in due course in terms of when is the exact dates, noting that we have 8 continuous counties. So a rolling situation is about to be highlighted here. And then I think those are the very quick highlights for your 2 questions. Flexibility of the grant. I believe Marit and Sarah were clear in terms of be able to support both activities and co-support at the organization. A good mixture of both is highly welcome and will be assessed highly on both activity level and co-support that you need to do. So flexibility is highly encouraged. So 2 further questions from Quinta, and then I'll pass on the microphone to a few other hands that are up. So in terms of experience, I'd want to just slightly correct quickly in terms of what you said. People who do not have experience in financial management are not allowed to apply. Not really. Again, like you saw, the objectives, it spoke about institutional strengthening the capacities of grassroots organizations. So you are highly welcome to apply for that. So the question is in terms of experience. Organizations that don't have high experience in financial management or have never been granted before, can they use this money to hire an expert who will be able to do financial management for them? And then secondly, the quick question is in terms of grassroots grants, those people with no previous experience, those people who have never been granted before, or those organizations that have never been granted before, have never handled 4,000 euros before, are they encouraged to apply? So I'll pass on this question real quickly for Betty to answer it within, let me say, 2 minutes, and then we'll have a new set of questions coming in shortly. So Betty, the microphone is over to you. I guess perhaps network issues. We'll come back to you later. So
perhaps I can address if Betty has some connection issues.
Stepped out. Yes, please.
But yes, we do highly encourage also organizations that do not have previous experience with funds to apply. However, you do need to also provide us a plan how you will be building your capacity in that sense. So the small grants are an access to thriving new organizations also to start work in this sense. So, but I think the most important thing is what was highlighted also from my colleagues is that you have a concrete plan on how your group or your CBO is addressing these capacity issues and how you wish to build your capacity.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So I believe, Quinta, all your questions have been answered. For experience, financial management, it's not a must you have a proper super experience. We believe majority of the organizations are nascent organizations and perhaps at beginner level. So all grassroots organizations and groups are welcomed to apply. And you could be able to provide perhaps a pathway or a strategy of how you'd want to build that capacity on financial management and whatnot. So that is very clear. And then you remember the limit for in terms of previous funding is about 1 million shillings. So the word is between 0 and 1 million. So 0 means perhaps you've never been funded before, but you've had quite a bit of work that you're doing, and then the upper limit being 1 million shillings. So I believe those are clear, and thank you, Sarah, for those, Sarah and Marit, on that clarity. So in terms of the next set of questions, we have Christopher Subano. You've had your hand up for quite a while. Please unmute and ask your questions, and then the next person will be Zakaria. So prepare your questions, Zakaria, as Christopher posts his questions, sorry, or your questions. Yes.
Okay, asante Anna. I had requested earlier for the video of the record session because where we are located in Taveta, there is network issues. Even the other time, we didn't receive clear information. So I was requesting if it's possible, we can access the recording soonest possible, because it's challenging even to apply to get the network. So we'll appreciate if we can get the recording of these sessions and the slides soonest possible. That is a request. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Christopher. So quickly, in terms of the recording, I think my colleague Tim is here. I'd want to give Tim, who's our communications expert, will give you a quick highlight on terms of, Tim, are you here? On how you'll access the video of the recording, in which platform? Timothy? Okay, I guess Timothy also dropped out for a bit. So quickly, I'll provide guidance on Christopher's question. So in terms of the recording, so for the previous webinar, you'll find it on the Inform Actions website. A link will be shared on the chat box shortly. The whole presentation, including the slides, are very well elaborated there, and the video is available with the Zoom recording, so you could be able to get that there. For any further questions in terms of what was spoken around there, also check the KIOS website in terms of the frequently asked questions, FAQs, if you have anything that might be missing from the previous webinar. For this webinar also the same will be done. A video, this recording will be uploaded on our YouTube page, and also links will be provided on specific platforms on social media, that is Twitter, Facebook, and also our websites, the link to the recording, so that you can be able to access that at your convenience. So I believe that is answered. Christopher, I'll pass on the microphone to Zachariah. Zachariah, please proceed to unmute and ask your question.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Zach from Kirinyaga, representing Filia Mission Kenya. I have 3 questions. One, does the grant, once received, will it cover the expenses related to the application? That is the past, those are the debts that maybe you have been carried as you are making the application. Number 2, is it renewable? Is there an extension after the applied duration is over? And number 3, do you have a specific referee, maybe a government official or a religious official or something like that? Thank you.
Thank you, Zachary. Can we ask, perhaps take more than one question? Maybe we can ask James to also ask the question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zachary, for your question. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Zachary, for your question. Well noted. I need perhaps quite a bit of more clarity in what you mean with that. Does the grant cover expenses for the application? Could you give a quick example of what an expense for the application could mean? And then I'll proceed to provide the microphone to the other participants.
Okay, maybe the application expenses, maybe like, what can you say? There are those expenses that are related when you're applying, maybe the cyber cost, maybe the certificate preparations and the documents preparations and all that.
Okay, so certificate preparation, this means things like the cyber, like scanning and things like that.
Yeah, something like that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is very clear.
I get you now, very clear.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is very clear answer to this, and no application
Yes.
expenses will be covered.
Yes. So I guess your answer is direct, Zachariah. No expenses such as that will be covered. And then you had 2 other questions in terms of the references, referees, that is government officials. And then I think that was your second question. So Betty, you have a chance to answer Zachariah's next question. Zachariah had 2 questions. The one in terms of referrals, government officials, part of the people who can give a referral, a reference, that is, or become a referee for their applications. And then the first one has been answered. So please proceed to answer that, Zachariah's question.
Okay, thank you, Zach. I think for me, the response is a referee is supposed to be somebody for whom is able to vouch for you because of work that you have done. So we recognize that community-based organizations or grassroots-based organizations work with different partners on the ground. It could be civil society partners, it could be the government. For some, it could even be the private sector. So you just share with us a reference from an institution that you're working with who is also able to vouch for the work that you say that you're doing because you're going to be sharing your experiences. So we don't want to say only this particular institutions. We would like to leave that open so that you're able to give us reference from the institution or partners that you're working with who are able to vouch for what it is that you say you do. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Betty, for that very nice and direct answer. James Mwamure, I'm coming back to you. I've seen your hand is still up. Do you have a question, James?
I have two questions. One, for those who apply and they don't get, do you have an option or any other means to help them? Number two, for those who do not know how to write proposals, do you have a way of helping them?
Thank you very much, James Mwamure, for your question. So for those who apply and don't get, what next? Question number one. Question number two, those who have no wherewithal in terms of how to write a proposal, is there any help for them? So I'd want to provide this question to Betty again. You could be able to provide guidance on this, and then Sarah, you can also join in to provide James Mwamure's question with an answer. Over to you, Betty and Sarah.
All right, thank you very much, people. And thanks, James, for asking a question that's actually quite realistic. The appreciation that not everybody who applies is going to get funding. So we have two things. One is that we will continue to have, as we have had before, virtual training opportunities that are available that we shall continue to share and extend to those who are willing to have their capacity built. The second bit is that on issues around proposal writing, I think one of the things that Sarah said at the beginning, the recognition that we are working with organizations that are doing work but may not be able to have the sort of expertise and skill that we see in organizations that have been implementing a lot of work. So we would like you to write your proposal in a way that you can express yourself by being clear about what it is that you want to do and why you want to do what it is that you want to do. At this particular point, your proposal that you share with us will give us an idea of the thinking around why you have put what you have presented together. It is thereafter for those who are able to proceed to the next level that we will be able to have what we are calling a co-creation, which is also part of supporting in the proposal development. And we will use that to be able to see how we start the process of strengthening, whichever organization that is in proposal writing. But we will still also be able to have proposal writing because we have them as part of the module for those others who will not be able to get to the end of the journey, that we have got an alternative virtual capacity building, which also includes proposal writing as one of the modules that is available for training, and that we will be able to make sure that it is open and as many people as possible get to benefit from the virtual training that we shall be providing. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Betty. So I think you have all your answers. If you don't apply and don't get, there are further training and capacity building areas that you can be able to plug in. There'll be quite a bit of others that are more virtual, like this, webinars on specific areas. So we have a full training and capacity building module that some of us are able to participate in, specifically those ones that are very virtual and online, are available to all of us to express interest and participate on them. In terms of the proposal writing, the idea has been given is in such a way that you put in your best idea, write what you can. Since it's a guided template, you could be able to just read the question and put in there whatever reflections or your best idea or strategy that comes into mind on that template. And then at a further stage, when you are we've crossed the bridge to the other side, we'll be able to provide support in co-creating, make your idea become more robust, more concrete, so that we can be able to get a perfect, a near perfect proposal. So I think those are the questions. I think there was a question somewhere in terms of the grant being renewable. That has been answered in the chat box, and the answer has been provided there that the grant is not renewable, being it's an action grant. So kindly take note of that. So I'll get into the next question, I believe.
Okay, thank you. My name is George, and I come from Taita Taveta County. And my question is, you've captured on the concept of budget making and the experience one has in terms of drafting one. And there was a question that popped up concerning those that are not unable to actually be able to draft it on their own to get it the right way that it's supposed to. Will they be still considered as the answer was yes for beginners, for those who have no experience in drafting? But my major concern was, I have seen in the past that such organizations, such as KIOS and other organizations, I don't want to say KIOS in particular because I haven't seen them operating or working, or I haven't heard them or being mentioned somewhere around Taita Taveta County. But I'm giving an example of such an organization, but other organizations though, that have been operating in other countries. And they are successful applicants who submit their work and they get support and they get the chance to operate. These organizations are in the database of such organizations. So when it comes to a subsequent application, they are usually considered as the first option. We have seen that operating in most countries, whereby now even if we apply and maybe we are an upcoming organization and would like to earn experience, it becomes hard for us because already there's an existing organization that works within the county, and it is that organization is given a first and priority. Is that the same case with KIOS? That's my question that I wanted to ask. And in terms of those the areas that have been requested for submission, that is the template for the budget and the reference and all that. And this is an upcoming organization that requires to earn an experience through such process. How is it going to be? Is this a fair process? Since I'm a bit skeptical, because I know sometimes you might end up applying, people say that it's non-discriminatory. But at the end of the day, you just notice that it's an organization that will be given an opportunity. And maybe both of us have applied equally with the same qualification. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dot. I hope I got your name correctly. It's Dottie.
George. George.
Dodge.
George, yes.
George from George. Sorry, George from Taita Taveta. So if I'm to get your question correctly, you're asking about the fairness and the process. Do other organizations who have previously applied have an upper hand than the other organizations that are nascent and have never had a chance in preparing a budget, the whole process of granting? Yeah. So I believe that is where your question is leaning towards. Yes?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Great. So I'll give Sarah a chance to answer your question to the best of her ability. Do organizations that have never applied before compared to those ones that have an experience the experienced ones, do they have an upper hand compared to the smaller ones that are doing this for their first time? Over to you, Sarah.
We want to assure you that this is a very transparent process, so there is no preference to any organization. We do look into innovative approaches though. So if you do have a very strong case on showing that you are, first of all, constituency-led, so you are really working for your own community, and you are coming from your community and from the needs of your community, and you can show that, that is a very strong case. And then the second very strong case is that you can show that you have a solution for the issues that are facing your community. So I think those are the main criteria that we are looking into, but absolutely there is no preference to organizations that have previously received funding from any entity.
I just wanted to add to that we have a set of thorough assessment criteria that we will be using to go through all the applications that we receive. And we will have kind of a very expert team going through the applications. It will not be based on just the views of one person. There will be a team assessing the proposals as a whole. So like Sarah said, there is no pre-selection made for the organizations. They will all be assessed based on the same criteria. Thanks.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Marit. I believe your question has been answered. George from Taita Taveta. Just to lastly add one last thing on that statement is that in terms of fairness, I believe, and I said this in the previous webinar, we've seen people who love to take shortcuts, and in this application, please do not give money to anybody. This consortia, the Haki Ni Yetu consortia, does not ask for money from anybody to give you a direct ticket or a direct chance to a grant. The granting process will be very fair, equal, open to all, and very just. So to that end, we hope that you will not fall into the hands of any scrupulous individuals, either from outside or inside the Haki Ni Yetu process, telling you that they are able to fast track or give you an upper hand for a very small amount or for something in exchange. Please note that and be very sure that it is something that we highly discourage. So I'm seeing, before I go to the next question, I know Victor has asked, you have Victor and Rachel, you are next. However, just before I get to you, I see Marit's hand is up again. Please proceed to say something, Marit, and then I'll come back to Victor and Rachel.
Yes, sorry. Thanks, Steve. We just have a question in the chat box that we maybe, I think Betty would maybe be in a better position to answer. There's a question by Beatrice asking, when do these trainings on capacity building and proposal writing happen? Would you tag us along when they are about to start? In case Betty or someone else might be able to address that at some point.
Yeah, so Betty, please provide guidance on when or how are the TNC training and capacity building on resource mobilization happening, and how can they participate in the future ones?
Thank you, Beatrice and Nemsi, so I believe that you also call yourself Betty. But I just want to say, and I'd like to encourage everybody who is on today, we are going to be putting on a link that IFA's link is already on. We'll put it back on, which will also be connected to the link that will lead to the CSO network website as well, the landing page, sorry. We will be able to have all the information that is necessary about the training. We know that next year we're going to be rolling out fresh virtual training. We are asking everyone to be able to look, to go to the site and be able to register and then share your interest and you can just apply for it. But I think we're planning to start the virtual training sometime in the second month of the year, and then we shall be able to have the selected training modules put in, so everybody will have an idea of when they are going to be, what months they're going to be coming up. We would also, of course, encourage if there's any other additional training that they would be interested in, we would encourage that we have a communication on the same, because this project really is about building capacity, whether it's through the granting, but also in terms of skills and expertise and practical application of the knowledge that you're going to be earning, or getting throughout the project cycle. Thank you.
Lovely. So thank you very much, Betty. So keep looking out for a chance to express interest into our next virtual training and capacity building modules in the year 2025. You are all welcomed and invited, so watch out for our LinkedIn, both for CSO Network and Inform Action, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and all our digital platforms, including our website, for the next announcement in terms of the training capacity building on those aspects that you have highlighted there. So I will go to Victor Otieno. You can unmute your microphone and ask your question. Victor, you've had your hand quite up for a while.
Yes, thank you. I'm Victor Otieno. I'm from the class center in Sierra County. So mine was very brief. I just want to make take some clarification concerning the posting of the eligibility or ineligibility in terms of the posting, and as far as this form is concerned. I was trying to read through the information that you shared through your website. There's a frequently asked question. There's a question that asks what posts are ineligible under the funding, and I'm just trying to understand. There's a part that refers to staff bonuses, saying that staff bonuses are not ineligible, so that it's not applicable. And also the issue of salary, personnel costs, and stationary deductions, e.g. NSSF and pay, the part which I understand on stationary deduction, but I'm trying to think. For example, I proposed a project whereby one of the key activities that I'm going to do as an organization is something to do with capacity building, whereby maybe training is involved. And within the organization, we don't have personnel or capacity or an individual who can conduct that particular training. Then we are supposed to now speak or source for a trainer. I'm trying to understand the costing of that bonuses and the salary. Does it mean that it is not applicable for this fund to pay for such a trainer? Or any other person who needs to be reimbursed for his or her services with particular to the project that is going to support? That's my question.
All right. Thank you very much, Victor. So you're looking at the FAQ eligibility, and you have noted staff bonuses are not eligible costs, statutory deductions are not eligible costs. So yes. You're asking if you hire a facilitator to do training, are they eligible to some compensation that is for their services? Is that your question?
Yes, that's my
Okay, I'll pass on that one to either Marit or Annika. You'll be able to provide guidance on which costs are eligible and which ones are not, and then I think we'll be able to answer Victor comprehensively.
Thank you for the question. I think initially we followed the eligible costs or the ineligible costs, as you mentioned, that are described on the website and the FAQs, because they are based on also what costs are eligible to the EU. So we would follow those. But for further details on your question, I would need to verify before giving a further answer. I don't know if my colleagues would be able to answer more precisely.
Well, if it's a facilitator for an event, yeah, of course, that's not a staff bonus. I mean, that's a payment for a remuneration for work. That's not staff bonus. Staff bonuses means if you have a financial advisor and you decide that if you're able to get funding for the next year, this finance officer will get a bonus of, let's say, 10,000 shillings because they did their work really well. Well, that's not eligible. If I understood correctly the question, of course, like remuneration for work, that's eligible, of course. I hope I answered your question.
Great. Thank you very much, Annika and Marit. So directly, Victor Otieno, the guidelines still stand. So staff bonuses are ineligible. Statutory deductions, those ones that you highlight, the ones you pay to government. Being a small action grant, you are looking forward to do a lot of activities and a lot of work with the funding. So when it comes to, and also further clarity will be provided for that. So we are taking that also further in terms of our internal reflection, and we'll write back to you. We only communicate via one email, that is the smallgrants@informaction.tv. That is the only email that or majority of the let me say correspondence will come from that, and also those from internally, the staff from KIOS, Inform Action, and CSO Network. However, majority of communication from the small grants will come via the smallgrants@information.tv. So perhaps further guidance will be coming through that. For in terms of training, personnel costs, in terms of facilitation, honorarium for a facilitator, that is an allowable cost. So take heed of that, and I hope, Victor, that is clear to you, because this is a direct cost into implementation of your activities. So that being said, I think I've seen two questions that perhaps came out. I think Rachel had her hand up and then disappeared at some point. She was asking, can 2 or 3 organizations join in to put out to put an application together, a joint application, something like a consortia like this, or an alliance between 2 or 3 organizations. So I think, Sarah, you might have answers to that. You can provide. I'll give you a chance to provide highlights in terms of whether 2 or 3 organizations can join in to make an application as a consortium.
Yes, just to elaborate from what my colleague Annika has already provided in the chat, we do encourage consortiums. So we do encourage organizations to get together to submit a proposal. However, just to elaborate on what Annika was saying also, there needs to be a lead organization. on whose name the application will be submitted to. But yes, definitely do make partnerships with other organizations as well.
If I may just clarify, so you just need to name one lead, as Sarah said, so the one who writes the proposal technically in the system, who uploads the documents and who kind of puts their bank account forward, for example. So we cannot, for example, share the funds to send them to for one grant. We cannot share the funds to 5 organizations. It has to be one. So they need to partner and decide which one is the one that will formally apply and give their bank account, and then, you know, share the activity costs and everything among the consortium. So that's why there needs to be one lead, because you cannot provide us 3 different bank accounts, for example. And there has been many questions regarding operational and administrative costs. As I already mentioned in the chat, as long as they're justified and reasonable regarding the overall grant action, they are eligible, but they need to be justified. So always make sure in the budget to clarify what is, why, I mean, in the budget template, you can see there is a column for justifying. So, so that will help you to kind of give us an idea why that cost is necessary for the grant action. So if you're a consortium of 3, for example, 3 organizations, that is encouraged. I mean, we do encourage partnerships and joint initiatives, but the maximum grant amount does not change. So it's the same limit of maximum 4,000 euros. It doesn't mean that the grant will be bigger.
Thank you very much, Anika, for that clarification. I believe that is crystal clear. Consortiums are allowed or are highly encouraged. 2 or 3 grassroots organizations and groups can come in together and put an application. However, you'll have to have a lead organization that will be the person. Let me call them the prime, and then in between yourselves, you'll have an agreement of how to implement and all the modalities of how you carry out activities and whatnot. Just like we have here under the Hacking Yetu Consortium, we have a lead organization that is KIOS, and then we have 2 co-partners, that is Inform Action and CSO Network, who are implementing partners within Kenya. So, and KIOS being the lead or the prime organization. So I hope that is clear. Rachel has said that is clear. So I'm not seeing any further hands up, and I see I think one last question. I think, can 1 or 2 applications as a consortium? I think the question is just one. The answer is 1 application as clarified. So a single application gives you better clarity, better chances, as opposed to having multiple applications. So this could lead to the evaluation team perhaps dropping majority or a few to maybe concentrate on one or something like that. So just put in a single application, whether you are applying as a group or as a consortia or as an individual organization. So Anika has provided clarity as 1 application per organization. So having said that, I think we have exhausted the questions. I don't see any further hands up. Those questions that were in the chat box, I believe clarity has been provided. So just to provide an opportunity to the team leader from CSO Network to provide some wrap up and just closing words, and then we shall declare this webinar has come to an end. So over to you, Betty, with some parting shot and some wrap up closing words.
Thank you. And I want to thank everybody for today's session. It really has been very, very great, engaging with so many of you today. And I hope that the information we shared today will give you a clear understanding of the sort of, the guidelines and what it is that we're looking for. And I encourage everyone who has been on today to be able to submit your proposal. And of course, we look forward to, our collaboration and support and working with you in future. I want to take this opportunity also to be able to appreciate the team from both KIOS and IFA, and also part of the CSO team for facilitating this session, and Marit and Annika for providing all the necessary responses to the questions that were asked. But again, we said that if there's any need for further clarification, I think we have shared the details or the links to the different social media platforms and pages that you can, reach out. So don't hesitate if you need to be able to get more clarifications, because we are actually here to help you throughout this process until, of course, the time when we shall be closing this grant. And so I want to wish everybody happy holidays. I'd like to ask you to take care, stay safe, and we look forward to receiving all your proposal and to just keep doing the amazing work that I'm sure you're doing, because that is the one reason that, you joined us today, to just continue to amplify the work that you're doing. So thank you so much for your time and your participation. And I appreciate all the effort that you've taken to be able to make sure that you join us here today. Shukran sana, and karibu everybody. So back to you, Steve.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Betty, for your wrap-up reflections. So 3 key things that you need to look out for. One, the final date for applications, that is on the 13th of January 2025. So we have the whole holiday season and up to the first 13 days of January. It is 13th of January at 11:59 p.m. and then after that the portal for submissions will be closed for now evaluation session. So all applications are submitted via the ASPICO system, the ASPICO grant management system, or the grant application system. So the links to this are available on the guidelines and also on the FAQs, that is the frequently asked questions. So the links to the granting system is available there, as Annika has taken you through. You'll be able to register an account and begin to look out for whether the email has gone. If it's not on your inbox, it could be on the spam box. So look out for the email there from the ASPICO system. And then finally is all this information will be availed to all of us using the available platforms that have been highlighted. Key things to note out that if you have any further questions, please be able to write to smallgrants@informaction.tv. Somebody will be able to reach back out to you at a given point. I know we are moving towards the holiday season and we'll have a Christmas break between around the 25th for the holidays up to about the 1st, and we look forward to those questions. So if you don't receive an immediate answer, it will be taken care of immediately as soon as we open for the period. So for the implementation period, that is past the 1st of January and just before the Christmas break. So smallgrants@informaction.tv being your email address of where you can channel your questions, and somebody will get back to you at the earliest convenience. The recording will be posted online on information.tv and the links disseminated to all other platforms that are available to us, and the links have been shared there. So be keen to follow us on all our platforms digitally, Facebook, Twitter, or X, LinkedIn, and also our websites and newsletters. So thank you very much for that. We do not ask for money from anyone, so don't let anybody ask you for money for fast tracking. I want to insist on this because it is a habit that happens in this side of the world. So there is no way or no one who will ask you for money to apply for this or to fast track or to guarantee you a grant. All of us have an equal chance. So with those very many and few remarks, I'd want to declare this webinar adjourned, and have yourselves a happy holiday, and looking forward to see your best ideas on the Aspico platform. So thank you, and have yourselves a good rest of your day and the next coming days of the year. Thank you and bye.